This is just a video in case anyone wants the loadout for the video I just did of me finally soloing Vesper's house. Dear God, it was agonizing, but I did it. But here's the loadout. Got Hammer of Soul just for a range super. Seen a lot of people do videos where you use Power Guild gauntlets and swap off once they hit the boss, but I'm on console, so I don't have the luxury of rapidly switching my loadouts. Rally barricade. So when we get to, I guess when you get to the cheese spot, if you do it that way, or you just want to camp up front for a bit, you can place down in Laurely. You can see, got it. We'll proc and place down that fire spray and keep it healed. Hammer throw just because it's most optimal. And honestly, unless you're playing PvP, obviously you're likely not running hammer strike. Lift, you can run whatever. I just ran high lift because I like it more. Swarm grenade. This, I'd argue, is very important for this build because the whole point is to get your rally barricade up as fast as possible. So, aspect. Honestly, I could say if you're good at throwing grenades, you could run any grenade, but I chose Swarm because I'm particularly booty cheeks at throwing grenades. You already know the aspects. We got Soul Invictus, necessary for Wally, Roaring Flames, and make sure we got the damage bonus. On to the aspects, which I'd argue are, no, not aspects, fragments. I'd argue they're the most important for this. You got Ember Torches, you already know what it does. Throw your hammer, get Radiant, or whatever. If you got Roaring Flames Fist, you can punch an enemy and get Radiant. Then we got Ember of Singeing. I think that's how it's pronounced. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it awful. Still recovering from the adrenaline rush. Your class ability recharges faster when you scorch targets. This is important to get your rally barricade back as fast as possible, so that way you can always have Loreley up or have it up as much as you can. We have this because honestly, if you can get any clone kills off with, honestly, depending on what weapon you're using, if you're using a solar heavy weapon, you could probably get a few kills off and extend any buffs. Then it'll tie into Ember of Benevolence. Applying Restoration Cure Radiant to allies grants increased grenade melee and class ability generation for a short duration. If, now here's the most important part I'd argue, if you have any type of buff proc, and you likely are when you place down your rally barricade, you're gonna have Restoration and Cure from Loreley. If you proc that and then you throw your grenade to scorch the target, you will practically get it back as fast as possible. I'm pretty sure it goes down. I got down from like the 38-second cooldown. As you know, if you have max resilience, which I don't have max. I'm like pretty off. Don't question my bad taste. Oh, wait, I could probably fix that. It's just a little unneeded bit, but it's whatever. If you can get max resilience, yeah. So anyway, like I was saying, you get max resilience, and then you proc Ember of Benevolence. With Ember of Singeing, you'll get this back in like 5 seconds if it all works out. And here are my weapons. I ran Lost Signal with auto-loading holster Vorpal. You can run whatever here. I just chose something random. It don't really matter. You you don't particularly need that roll, but it's the roll I got. I got this world drop pistol, which is absolutely amazing. The heliocentric QSC. Got extended barrel with a pendant mag, and as you can see, enhanced heel clip and incandescent to make sure we get heel clipping. On top of that, we're killing all the ads because they're gonna be a nightmare when you're inside with all the clones and nonsense trying to kill you. For the heavy weapon, this is where I'd argue it could be most talked about, because if you want it, sure, you could run this and then swap out that for Witherford or whatever type of weapon you want to run, and then you could swap out the reserves and all that. But I personally ran Grand Overture because, I mean, it provides a consistent form of DPS as long as you can get the boss in the center of your crosshair when you fire that flurry of missiles and stuff. Lastly, on to the armor mods. I'd argue these could all be changed to your liking. We got For this is just so when I place down my rally barricade, I can have my grenade come back a bit quicker if it's not back fast enough, because as you saw, I have low discipline. 21 discipline. Ouch. We have Bomber and Font Resilience just to make sure we boost our recovery a little, that little incy bit more. whenever we're in a tight little pinch and we need to hide behind our barricade. This should boost up our recovery an amount. I am not currently sure, but I'm pretty sure it's a decent boost. You could also, if you wanted, just to play it safe when you're inside, I guess you could swap out both of these for powerful attraction, but I personally kept on bomber. For this, we have arc weapon surge and two recuperations. Honestly, I might have gone a bit overkill and maybe you could swap out a recuperation for innervation just because once you're outside fighting the boss, it's highly unlikely you're going to be spawning that many orbs. So while you're inside, you could focus on getting back your grenade and stuff. Or if you want to just play it safe, you can have dual recuperation. Or even you could swap out one for a surge if you wanted to. Though, granted, you would have to take this down. So, yeah, it's honestly up to you on that factor. I think this controller is messed up. But here in my chest piece mods, I stuck with one arc reserved and dual arc resist because, as you know, this entire encounter is full of a lot of arc damage. So you're gonna need that arc resist. And I will say this: if you really wanted to play it safe, you could just swap out Grand Overture, put on another rocket launcher, and run Risk Runner. I'm currently not seeing in my vault here is you can run Risk Runner. I mean, you likely already know what it is, so I didn't really need to show you. But if you wanted to, you could swap it off, run Risk Runner, and then you could maybe trade your damage resist for the other damage types, like all the solar from the shrapnel launchers of the enemies. But I'd honestly say that'd be handicapping yourself because once you're in the boss phase, all the damage is really arc. The anomaly discharges. Granted, those will just kill you instantly most times if you're in them and you get caught in a pinch. But when it's just from the boss's damage and all its clones and stuff, and on top of that, the melee guy attacks, arc resistance is going to be your hand. Here I ran three heavy-handed with an impact induction. Now, granted, this is just so I get my grenade back quickly. If you really want to make sure you have maximum amount of orbs, you could swap that out for another heavy-handed. Then you just run triple heavy-handed. But personally, I stuck with impact induction. And lastly, the helmet. The helmet, I'd say it honestly kind of varies on whatever your two other weapons are. You could, if you really wanted to, and just go a different route with this build, you could swap this out for, I don't know, aberrant action, or if you didn't really, if you ran it differently and didn't really care about keeping up your solar buffs, you could run a vantage point with whatever role you got. It can vary, but regardless, it's what you, the siphon. Don't question why I had a kinetic siphon on. I realized I couldn't swap the stasis siphon, and I didn't feel like trying to find a worthy substitute, and there wasn't really much of a point. And oh shit, I'm retarded. Oh well, we'll learn. We'll learn. I did. Uh, mm, mm, mm. Well, I guess I'll say now. If you want it, you could swap that one out for a heavy ammo scout, which I'm regretting real never reading this description and realizing it also, oh, good lord. Okay, back on topic. Back on topic. For we have a recovery mod, and since I just put the exotic cipher in, we have the resilience. But if you wanted and you had high stats in other places, you could obviously put in whatever else you need or feel is most important. Harmonic siphon for our solo weapon, and lastly, heavy ammo finder. And yeah, this entire build. If you want a more overview of it, here you go. Can take a picture of this or whatever. The artifact mods, I'd argue, they don't really matter since I didn't. Apart from the grenade launcher ones for Lost Signal, the artifact mods don't really matter. But if you wanted them just for, I guess, regular use, if you're not playing this here are my artifact mods. As always, you can swap these around to your liking. Oh boy, but yeah, this is just a little video showcasing the build I used for the final boss. Well, technically the entire thing, but yeah, this is the build I used, and obviously I would, well, no. Oh yeah, I did have a different build for Prismatic when I was fighting Ranix in the first boss. If you want to see that, I will try to quickly put it back together because I never save it to an absolute idiot. But for Ranix in the first boss, I'd personally run the Brave Tech Werewolf with this rule. You can run whatever. I kept this the same. But for the first two encounters slash bosses, I ran Parasite. I'll swap this off for whatever helmet you want to run. And personally, I'll say you run a class item with Inmost Light and Synthocept. Because that will allow you to have a lot of damage when it comes to fighting Ranix, and on top of that, grant you your abilities and empowerment. I won't go over this one too much since it's obviously not put together properly, but here are the basic stuff. Here are all the mods. Obviously, these will be swapped around a little bit, but um, yeah, that's about it. This last part is most definitely rushed, so take this a little bit with a grain of salt, because obviously it's likely not really fully built together as it should be. But yeah, hope y'all enjoy this little showcase video what I use, and I'll see y'all the next time when I post on this terrible upload schedule.